Okay, so um, call to order at 7:01, and before we remembered to start the recording, I had already made the elevation of both Jordan and Miranda, so I'm going to keep that. Although now that Kate's on, that's okay, but we'll keep going.
Oh, and here's Claire.
So declaration of abstention, item number 3, Matt so declares.
Yep, I so declare. I, Matthew Bussey, Director or Park and Recreation Director, will not be voting in this meeting.
Okay. Item number 4, approval of agenda. Are there any changes that anybody would like to make?
I'd like to add in under new activities, events, and programs, item 9D3, Slamma Jamma basketball camp.
Okay.
Can we add in just approval of the camp director job description? Because you need to hire somebody like ASAP.
Yes, I was hoping
Yeah.
to do that under bylaws subcommittee report.
Yeah,
I
let's
figured
just
that'd
make
be-
sure it's listed on the agenda.
Sure.
Where does that go? I don't know. Is that old business? I think it would be.
9A1, we could put under day-to-day park and rec operations and just make it easy since it's operations.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. 9A1. The other thing is, I'm going to delete 5B and 5C, because the commission can't really approve subcommittee minutes because that's not our bailiwick. We're not at those meetings. But I do appreciate, Matt, that they're included for the commission's edification and keep up. So I encourage everyone to make sure you read subcommittee minutes, but it's up to the subcommittees to approve them, not us. Make sense?
That makes sense.
Okay. Any other additions or whatnot? I think, good, you have Kent Center School field maintenance, good, okay, I don't have any other changes. So we'll go to,
So I'll make a motion to approve the agenda, amend the agenda as
amended, yeah.
discussed.
Is there a second? Karen? All those in favor of the approved agenda, amended agenda?
Aye.
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 Thank you all. Good. Item 5, approval of the April 22nd regular meeting. The minutes. I would move to accept the minutes as submitted. Is there a second? Karen again?
I have a concern. There's like an incomplete sentence under prospective alternate
Spoken like a
commission member.
journalist.
I'm
I
sure
keep
Matt
freezing.
was typing away and just got distracted, but it says Worthington noted that Jordan Iovino is. And I think I was
You
talking.
want to
so-
change is to exists?
No. I
I
want to
mean,
just say something like mother of 2 young children who's interested in joining the commission or something like that.
Yeah.
I'm sure that I mentioned something like that. But
That is exactly, I was going for that route was along the lines that, yep.
Okay.
But thank you. Sorry, I didn't even catch that one. Thank you, thank you.
The other thing that I noticed was for A3, I think it would be smart to include the last name of Jill. Just because I know that there's payment involved.
Yes. I can include that. I can make
Okay.
that amendment. Yep.
Oh, and the other thing that I think is important moving forward, I don't know if you guys think this is important, but for this particular thing, but the townwide tag sale, there's no date listed. I think we should include June 15th, which is 4B3.
Yes.
June 15th, right?
Yep. So it's June 15th.
Any other amendments to the minutes? Shall, so I guess I would, move that we accept the amended April 22nd minutes, if that's all right with you, Karen.
Yep.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstaining? Okay, item 6, correspondence. We have Blythe's resignation letter. And did everyone get a chance to read it?
Mhm.
I sent a thank you to her. I think Matt did too.
Yep.
On behalf of the committee for all her work and everything else. So, and she made it clear that she's wants to keep Marvelwood in the mix. So if we can come up with any ideas to use students or whatnot, she's all for that. So we're good to go there.
So should we do an emotion just to accept with regret?
Yeah, I was gonna say
I'll do
that.
a motion to
We should.
accept Blythe Everett's resignation with regret and thanks for all of her years of service.
I'll second.
Thank you, Kate.
And thank you both for already having reached out to her. It's great.
Yeah, thanks. All those in favor of accepting her resignation with regret? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? Okay, public comment. I see no public. That's makes that a moot point.
Rufus, I just realized we don't have on the agenda, or am I not seeing it, that to not elect a new member of the commission? Is that on there?
We have to solicit it for 2 weeks after we formally accept the resignation.
Um,
So now we can go ahead and start soliciting.
Okay.
Right.
Yep. That's why it's not on the,
okay, thank you.
And right now we're at a very good balance, so it can be. We'll see if anybody else gets involved, but as in the past, we probably look to the 2 alternatives first and then see who else comes on board. Now, Matt, so just put something on the website if you could.
Yep.
Okay. Item 8 is the financial report.
Perfect. So let me go ahead and queue that up for everybody. All right, so finances, we are getting close to the end of the year, which is fantastic. So we're starting to see where we're at percentage wise. So I just want to start on the second page actually and focus and hone in on where we're at with our percent of budget. So right now with the budget that was proposed and accepted for July 23 to June 24, we are 64.1% through our budget. So are we in a good position? Yes. This is saying that we're in a really great position. We're not expecting to go over in our budget. So that really just, don't anticipate any sort of forecasting with it going over in any parts of our budget, which is great. So I'm hoping to see that our budget stays within a great area and kind of doesn't express properly what the Park and Rec department could do, because we did have the absence of a director from November until February, and some programs did not run. Some things were, which I will jump into in a moment, might have been categorized wrong when expenditures. So that might be throwing off some numbers a little bit. So I'm going to start off actually in expenses and not hit income just yet. So for expenses, I'm going to highlight specifically the department operations supply line item 23201. So with 23201, we're showing that we're 275.1% over budget. This line item, when I was going through some of the financial records that I have, actually all of them, I noticed that things were delineated for fee-based programs as supply items instead of fee programs. So that jumped up that number. Some of these items are just purchases for ASP or purchases for Pumpkin Run or some of the other programs that we offer. So those would be fee-based programs instead of supplies. So seeing that number being so high, it's that justification saying it should be here instead of there. But ultimately, we're not going to be going over in fee-based programs. We are only 53.6% way through that budget. And even if we are just slightly over by $1,312.99, we're not going to be jumping high on the fee-based program. So that, looking at it, is a simple mental transition saying that we're still in the green, we're still in the black with what we have financially for department operations, specifically those two lines.
Another big chunk of that overage is from advertising for the director position, because there was no spot to put that in.
Right.
And it was very expensive.
Yeah.
I never saw the final numbers on it, but I'm sure it was close. It was over, I think it was over $1,000, the ads that we ran.
So that definitely keys into that as well. So yep, Lynn, you're right with that.
Mhm.
Good.
Can we still charge a fee-based program even if there was no fee? Is it okay to lump those all in there? Because like Pumpkin Run, I don't think there's a fee for the,
Senior lunches are put under there.
really? Okay.
Yep. When I was going through the proposed budget, I noticed senior lunches were put under there. So that's why it's so high. So if we were to
So
do
it's really all programming.
yeah, it's
Okay.
really all programming. Supplies should be more like department supplies, office supplies, things along those lines. I'm starting to really become a little more meticulous with what we have and just assist in the way that we present our budget. And I'm going to jump into that in a moment when I talk about expenses or revenue rather and income. And it's going to help us as a department understand where the growth opportunities are in our finances, where some pain points might be, and it will really help just identify what it should look like when we present this budget in the future, and it will be a little healthier to see. So in the expenses category, we're doing pretty well. Park maintenance, that number right now will be going up. I did purchase an electric chainsaw to use in the parks to help with tree maintenance on the trails in Emory Park, since trees do fall frequently, and to have the ability to go out and conduct that maintenance more instantaneously is a lot more readily available, opposed to having to wait and have some time associated with it. Especially with the tree trimmer tube, there's an extender that I purchased with it so that it can go up higher to trim branches that are hanging down. If those are some down branches or widow makers, as one would say, something that might fall on somebody, it's easy to trim and bring down so it doesn't cause harm to anybody who's hiking, and it really mitigates that risk. Also with park maintenance, one thing that was recommended in the Emory Park subcommittee meeting a few Fridays ago was a gate for the culvert bridge going into the field, since it was noted that some folks do drive over that culvert bridge and will do donuts in the field, snow covered and unsnow covered. So I did go ahead and purchase an extension gate that was under $200 from Home Depot. So that was not something we had to go to bid for. It was relatively inexpensive. The next step would be to purchase the wood and to install it, and some concrete as well to keep those wood bases in place. So that's going to be something I'll be purchasing and making note of. I did speak to Ed Matson, and he did give me a rough estimate that he would be at most $5,000. So that park maintenance line item is going to be heavily used in the next month, and it will be expense so that we can go ahead and start progressing with the park maintenance and ensuring that things will be done and ensuring that we do have the support and the tools and supplies needed to conduct it.
Matt, look, going back to the chainsaw, I hope you also bought a backup battery.
Yep.
So that you can take 2 batteries.
Yeah.
As we found out.
As we found out, we definitely knew more than one battery. Yes.
Also, do you have chaps and helmet and things like that, safety wise?
Those are the next things I have to purchase are chaps. I do have a helmet, so I
Okay.
have a personal helmet, but chaps will be the next thing, so that when we're out there, we're not in harm's way with it.
Okay, and then my other question is, insurance wise, just because I'm like new to this, so this is just a question. Can any employee of the town run equipment like that, or do you have to take a safety course?
That I will follow up on.
That's a good
Right now,
question.
it's just
Yeah.
from what we're operating under is as long as I like to be present for it if it's going to be maintenance along those lines, but
Yeah.
I will follow up on that one.
Cool, thank you.
You're welcome.
And Ed Matson has his own insurance, correct?
Yep, Ed has his own insurance.
Okay.
All right, so I'm going to jump into, is there any other questions on department expenses?
I have a suggestion. I
Sure.
would love to see you spend more money.
Yes,
Because
yes,
you've
yes.
got until June 30th. And my understanding is that you can, as long as you stay under the bottom line, it's okay to go over in specific line items.
Yeah,
So you could spend a lot more money in park maintenance, more than we even have lined up there, or for something else. Because this is where the Board of Finance and the selectmen look and see what was the actual numbers.
Yep.
And,
because like going back to the gate at Emery, I was thinking you were gonna buy something more substantial.
I bought something more practical since it's a 1-bar gate. It's low enough that it's easy to swing and move so that we can get the mower up top to go ahead and mow the field. And I wanted something that was just simple and blended in with the environment, and it wasn't something overpowering. And if we did eventually, if we ever need to do work on the culvert bridge, if we ever want to replace that culvert bridge, if there's something we want to do with that, it's something that we can easily move and we can use elsewhere instead of just having it taken up, and it's something that's not as easy and versatile in that sense. So this was more of, when I looked at the purchase, I wanted something that was practical, not just for the current use, but for other uses if we ever had to move it and use it in a different fashion.
So I would also go ahead and purchase some PVC, like a length of pipe and some caps, so that we can make, several, look, because if we have more trails than one, we may want to have more of those.
Yep.
And once we've got that, then, I can put it together.
Sweet. Thank you. I can definitely get those. I did purchase signage. I'm just waiting to get the invoice from the company that I purchased the signage for. It's under $500, but I purchased trail signage. I also purchased no parking signage and some other signage for the parks just for informational purposes. So those are under $500. They're high reflective so that if it is nighttime and someone is driving in the Emery Park parking lot, you can see it. Or if you're driving in Ken Commons or somewhere, if you're hiking down Mount Leonard and you have your headlamp on and it flashes, you can see it. So it's high vis, high res. I also purchased trail markers. Those are also reflective at night as well. So if someone were to be hiking down the Emery Park Trail with the trail markers, they would be high vis with a headlamp or any sort of other flashlight. So those were purchased too. I'm definitely going to be exploring some other options for purchases. I know camp, that's still up. I have to purchase shirts and a few other items for camp. Shirts for baseball were purchased and those will be coming in. I'm still waiting to have those arrive to the doorstep. And that's it right now for purchases.
Can we pre-purchase stuff for ASP for next fall?
Yes, that is one thing. Becca was going through all of the stuff today and inventorying, so I'm going to do some pre-purchase for that.
That's good.
So we're jumping ahead with some pre-purchases just to get things lined up. I'm doing the same with soccer, just exploring to see what we need for soccer and tennis in the fall, and if there's any other things that we would need moving forward.
Yeah, any of the programs, pickleball, equipment, we might as well. I agree with Lynn.
I
Let's,
agree. I think, Matt, you're getting a carte blanche to go spend money.
Yeah.
Well, I think we didn't run some programs, I mean, that were at, what is it, 53.6%, and we've only got a month and a half left of this fiscal year, so.
$50,000 to go.
yeah,
So in that same token, I talked to Rufus a little bit about this because I wanted to come to the commission about it. I spoke to some folks for tennis and for pickleball too, and having just the back wall or the backboard in the court would be helpful for them if they're there by themselves playing. So I was curious to know, is that something I can purchase out of park maintenance or fee programs, or is that something we have to do in a capital fund? And I just want to take the temperature of the commission to see what everyone felt and if that's something we should do in that style instead of out of the current department
It's
operation.
not gonna cost $25,000, right?
No, range
Yeah.
right now is between 2,000 and 5,000.
Yeah, so it doesn't need to be in capital.
Perfect.
I would say it'd be great. There used to be a backboard there before the tennis courts were renovated.
Awesome. That's actually
So
pretty
you're,
cool. There was
so
one.
you're just kind of replacing something that never got
right.
reinstalled.
Yeah. Sweet. So that'll be a lot of folks in town will be so happy to hear that, and they'll be ecstatic to even see it put in. So I'll start working on that.
Do we need to make a motion on that? Because that is a little bit more expensive, or?
I think since right now the bylaw state anything over $1,000 has to go for bid. So I figured I will grab some quotes and bring it to the next meeting, or if we do have a special meeting in the interim, I can go ahead and bring them up there and share them with the commission, share them prior so that everyone can get some food for thought before purchase.
Okay.
Yep. So
Good.
that I would say wait till next meeting maybe. Does
Or
everyone?
we'll see where we're at, but we definitely want to do that before the end of the year.
Yeah, definitely.
So,
I am exploring some other stuff too. A pickleball, a self pitching pickleball machine, self pitching tennis machine. Those are relatively inexpensive, under $500. Something that might be of interest. One thing, and I'll jump into it under park operations, but we can discuss in a little bit. But MyRec has some ability with card readers, so you can go ahead and have a barcoded card similar to a gym or another organization that you go to, and you scan your card to enter. I want that we can do some purchases with, and with that said, that'll move towards some of the stuff in the department operations section that I want to talk about, and hopefully plan for capital in the future and do some investigating on. So just putting that thought out there for now. And that's where I stand at the moment. So that's it for me for expenses. Any questions on expenses?
Can we buy some mahjong sets?
Yes.
It's a great
Okay.
idea, Karen.
Yeah,
how many do you need, Karen?
well, it's 4 to a set, so I would say starting with 3.
Okay,
Sure.
I think so. I have a set myself, so if it comes to the point where I have to use mine, then we'll see. But
And that was about $800 a piece, is that right?
oh no,
No?
mine was less than 100
Oh,
on Amazon.
okay. Okay.
Perfect.
And it would be American mahjong, not yeah.
Yes.
That's great,
Okay.
because I have definitely heard people talk about that, so.
Yeah, I just have to figure out with Matt when we're gonna do it, so.
Yeah.
the other thing you could do also would be to have a little shopping spree where you buy bingo
Bingo
prizes.
prizes.
Um,
Yes.
you know.
That was
Stock
one
up.
thing I was thinking. I was actually, one recommendation I received from bingo players was to have some grand prizes such as gift cards from Wilson's and from 45 on Main. So I was actually going to go to a few spots tomorrow and grab some gift cards for bingo and bring them in as starting prizes and then get some more throughout the time. So we just have the gift cards here and ready to go. So.
I know at the senior center in New Belford, they'll have, you know, rolls of toilet paper. Those are actually pretty good bingo prizes. You know, anything that's useful to people on a tight budget.
Yeah.
I was just, the gift cards is a great way to give back to the community too. That's awesome.
That is
And I was
awesome.
gonna say, I hate to have, would love to have that backboard up as soon as possible for the season, right? So like, I wouldn't want us to hold you up.
I agree with that. Maybe that's one just to try and call a special meeting and however many of us can show up. But
Can we take a vote tonight to give Matt the opportunity to act on the best bid he gets for a tennis backboard?
Yeah, I was thinking along
To-
the same lines, Rufus. Yeah, like if there's some way we can just empower him to just
Do it.
order it. Yeah. Cause it's, it would probably, a lot of people are having the same idea.
So Matt, you think it would be under $5,000?
Yep. I think it would be under $5,000.
And we've got, how much do we have? We have 12,000 or
Yep.
so. I would make a motion then that we let Matt find 3 bids and choose the company and the best bid. As long as it's under $5,000 to purchase and install a tennis backboard for Kent Commons tennis courts.
Yeah, I would second that.
Rufus, do you think we need to make some kind of a motion to set aside the bylaws because it is in the bylaws? Can we do that?
Well, we're still
Or is
getting
that-
bids.
Yeah, but I guess it's a gray area, isn't it?
But under the, sort of under the time crunch,
Yeah, I just
Right,
would hate,
yeah, Matt, you wanna like look into it, and if somebody says we're not gonna get a backboard until August anyway, then, we have no idea how. Maybe just find out, I mean, if you can get a backboard
Yeah.
here by the beginning of June, then maybe we are all willing to just have a special meeting and
yeah,
just
we,
sign off on the best bid.
Yeah.
Enough of us will be willing to get on the phone for 5 minutes to just,
yeah,
yeah.
keeps us out of the swamp.
Mhm.
And then if
Yeah.
it's, we're gonna have trouble getting it done anyway, then doesn't matter. But
Right.
be fun to get it up.
What I can do is if at the end of the meeting, everyone emails me their availability for next week, I'm happy to have all this research done by next week so that this can get installed and done ASAP. If that works.
I think
That'll work.
I think that's a great way to move forward.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think if
So
we
can
Okay.
we, can
That
we
is a
rescind
good
that other motion?
Yes.
Yeah.
I just don't want us to be criticized,
Yeah, no,
That's
I
my
hear
own,
you.
that's my only, I
Yeah,
don't want us
I
to
hear
be
you.
criticized for not following the rules, that's all.
Good.
All right. So under ordinary income, so we do have a lot of money in our general revenue under 132,800. That's because we've had a lot of programs, we've had a lot of revenue generated from those programs, which is great. We've had very high capacity running programs with tennis and basketball. And these are things with numbers that have been higher than in the past. One thing I've already worked on with Barbara was starting to move around some of that money up top from just the general when it comes into MyRec to move it and delineate it into specific things. So for example, camp right now, 132,850, that is at $19,275.35. So we're doing really well with camp revenue right now. Really doing really great with camp numbers. So it's good to see that these numbers are high for our programs, and they have been high with the climate that we were in. Now with that said, with this revenue, one thing I was talking to Barbara about was our fee-based programs, our sports programs, our programs that have individuals come in and instruct programs. We pay them a 90-10 split or another sort of split that we have with a contract. And one thing that was recommended was that when the money comes in to MyRec, and at the end of the month when I do the credit card statements, I delineate where everything will go, and then it goes to the special fund. And that special fund then will have the money set there so that when we finally pay the instructor, when we're done with the program, when we're completing what we're doing, for example, I'll use yoga. We take all the money from our 8 registrants of yoga, it goes into the special fund, we go through yoga, and then at the end, it's a direct split so that our instructor receives the fee that they agreed upon in the contract. The rest comes in and shows in the 132,800 line item, or in the 132,830 line item as our revenue generated from that specific program. So it's not something that would be, we're seeing a jump and a lower in our revenue. We're not seeing some sort of change in revenue after we're done paying an instructor. It's the revenue is generated and brought in. It's moved to the account for the activity fund is another name for it. Our fee program account goes to the activity fund. It's expensed from there. And once it's all done, it's moved back to our budget to reflect what was actually generated as revenue.
So Matt, are you saying that we would be showing net revenue? Is that what I'm hearing?
Correct. We'd be showing net instead of gross and then net, because right now we show a combination of both, which does show some confusion for things. And for example, all of the revenue that we received from programs, which 132,800, it went down from last, I believe it went down from last month. That went down because I ended up signing the bill for the use of the pool at the Kent School, for the ice rink, paying Mo for being an instructor, paying Dawn for being an instructor. So those numbers dropped down significantly. And then I went through the activity fund and saw it was actually in the negative versus what was not in the negative. The only thing in the negative was our fee from the Kent School. So I put money from the from our general fund into the activity fund to compensate that, to net it out completely. So it's showing 2 different accounts. And what I can do in our meetings is show both our financials for our general fund and then show the financials for our activity fund to reflect those programs, so we can see, instead of just a gross and a net in one, it's all net in one and then all gross in the other. So it's 2 separate items, and it's not a change in number, and the variance explanation from me isn't as confuddled and wonky and long and winded and confusing.
And Barbara Herbst is okay with this?
Yes, I spoke with Barbara about this, and both her and I strongly feel this would be a great model for what we should be doing. This is essentially what we have been doing. It
Yeah.
just has not been represented well. So
Yeah, I remember this from years ago.
So
This is
it
how
will
was done.
be much clearer. I mean, we can then sit down and say, Matt, how much did the yoga program, what do we end up, da, 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 da. So it makes each program accountable for itself
yep.
clearly.
And it doesn't represent that we are a self-sustaining department in any way, shape, or form, but it just shows that what programs are actually bringing in as revenue, and it assists us to know what programs would be a flop versus which ones are great and thriving, which ones we're totally compensating for and covering in our budget versus ones that are running and are successful and can independently support the instructor based on their agreement, or they're receiving a higher revenue amount because we've had so many kids participate, so many adults participate, and so on.
Sounds good.
And I think that's a great step forward, because right now it's so confusing to actually know whether or not, which ones are financially successful and which aren't.
Yep.
I agree. And it might cause us to say, to our pricing discussion last time, like maybe there are some programs where we should increase our prices, or are there things about the program where we could change it to drive more enrollment or something, but it'd allow us to have more specific views on each program.
Exactly. Yes, Claire. Good. So yeah, that's it from me for finances. So any questions?
I just wondered if all the issues with the ASP income had been resolved, because that number is still pretty low compared to what we budgeted for this upcoming year.
That one, I'm going to rework. It was resolved from everything on the MyRec end. I'm just going to go ahead and pull it again and just double check to see where that money exactly went to with MyRec, because on MyRec, some of it's delineated that it didn't go right to the activity specifically, and it's going to the recreation general. So I'm going to go ahead and play around with it again and see
Okay.
what I can get as a whole number. And then I'm going to talk to Barbara about that move so we can see exactly that delineation. So it's much more clear. So by end of year, we're going to have a much more clear. I mean, I know it stinks that it's the end of the budget and it's, June that we'll be seeing this, but at the same time, it's June that we'll be seeing this. It's right before the next budget starts. So now we have a better understanding of what we're walking into. So
Right.
I can work on that with Barbara a little bit more.
Cool. I just would like to know how far off we are with our new budget numbers.
Yeah.
To
we can definitely do
anticipate.
that.
And it would also, I don't want to create a ton of work for you, but it would be helpful if we could know maybe a monthly average or something like that of kids being served. Or I don't know. I don't want to make a ton of work, but
Yeah.
it
I
just,
can definitely, under my department, day-to-day, I'm more than happy, or under current programs, happy to give specific numbers and show everyone where we're at with numbers for registration and give averages. If that's helpful for everyone, if that's something everyone wants to see is hard numbers, I'm happy to do that.
I think it would be helpful before it starts up again at the end of August,
Yeah. I'll produce a document for our next meeting and I'll share it for the June meeting so we can review and discuss. Yeah, more than happy to do that.
Good.
Perfect.
All right. Anything else financially? We're good? Thank you, Matt.
Thank you, guys.
So day-to-day park and rec operations report.
Yes, so I'm going to start with just talking about program enrollment. Right now we have a great number of enrollees for our programs. We have about 25 preschoolers and kindergartners who are participating in our T-ball program. We have about 10 first and second graders participating in our T-ball first and second grade program. With pickleball being a drop-in sport, we've saw 26 individuals back on the warmest day that we had a few Wednesdays ago out at Kent Commons. I'm going to be moving pickleball this Wednesday to Kent Commons. I'll be making that announcement tomorrow. So those that are in the meeting tonight and watching and are interested, it'll be at Kent Commons from 6 to 8. A lot of folks that do participate in pickleball are loving that I moved it till 8 o'clock. I did also purchase with pickleball lines that are drop down. So they're Tyvek lines that have rubber on them to put on the ground, and then you tape them into place. So they're properly spaced and properly sized. So the courts can actually be utilized instead of having to sit there and measure it out with tape every single time. And they are great because they're great on the gym floor. They can be used outside. Also, our ASP numbers are doing really well. We've seen an uptick of numbers. Last Monday, we had 13 kids participate in ASP, which is huge, and we haven't seen that number in a very long time. We've been averaging about 9 kids the past few days, so it's been really great to see that large number and the large amount of participation. Parks are doing well. Rufus and I, a few weeks ago, went up to Emery Park, and we went through the trail and did some tree trimming on the trees that were down on the ground. And we're able to move some logs that were obstructing the trail so that folks can hike up without having to jump over or duck under a lot of the logs. We do have a few more to clean up, so we'll be wrapping that up shortly. And I'm hoping to work on the yellow trail a little bit to get that finalized and good to go for hiking. Right now it is log ridden, tree ridden, swamp. It's not swamp ridden, it's more just soggy ground at the moment, and there just needs to be some moving of just some leaves on the ground just to clear the trail so you can see it and you're not stepping off the trail or into part of the environment that would be something that a plant or something else might be enjoying at the moment. We don't want to have that happen. Kent Commons, the tennis court, we're anticipating that money coming in soon. I'm currently exploring some options that we can do for tennis court resurfacing and the pricing for that. I'm also exploring right now splash pads. Rain Deck worked with Leslie Ferris a few years ago about building a splash pad here in Kent and at Kent Commons. So I'll be reaching, I'm waiting to hear back from them. Luke and Ryan are their names with Rain Deck, and I'm waiting to hear what Leslie worked with them on so that we can get a little more concrete answering with what has been done with the splash pad so that we can start moving forward to a planning phase for this outside of the research phase.
And just going back to Emery Park for a sec quickly, John has been cleaning out the shed. I've taken a couple of loads to transfer station for him. And he may have some other items that he'd want for you to purchase to upgrade there too.
Sure.
But he's trying to get the big room ready for headquarters for the Emery Park Subcommittee. Maps on the walls, stuff like that he's put up. Starting to look good, but we did end up with a lot of mouse ruined chairs and things like that that just couldn't be saved. So, but we're working on that. Okay,
I
sorry.
can purchase some chairs and tables as well, so that I'll throw in.
Yeah, we'll talk to him and see what he wants.
Yeah. I'll definitely talk to John about that. I'll connect with him on that. So Kent Commons, everything with that, tennis court, the splash pad. The bench has been completed, finally. So the bench, the parts were missing, the main support beams and the hardware to assemble it. It was assembled on Friday or on Thursday. It was good to go on Saturday. Today I went over and took off the caution tape and the wood poling. So it is good to sit on and good to enjoy. So anybody who's in Kent Commons can now enjoy the bench that is shade covered. So the last part of the playground project is officially complete and we can close that book. So
That's cool.
another
Good,
project
good.
done. Kent Center School Fields,
Oh,
John.
well, before you leave
ahead.
Ken Common, Barbara Herbst talked about the need to, with the ARPA money,
Mhm.
that has to be spent, if I understood her correctly, spent by December of this year.
No, it has to be earmarked for end of this year and spent by end of next year or 2020. It's 2025 or 2026. It has to be spent from when I talked to Barbara about it. I can double
Okay.
check with Barbara tomorrow when she comes in and let you all know, but I'm confident it does not need to be expended by the end of this year.
But don't we
She
have, by
made
the
it
end of
sound
this
like
year,
that.
we have to have
The project.
the
set.
project in place?
Yep.
Are there restrictions on the splash pad money that came from the state in a similar way? That it has to be spent by a certain time period?
Yes.
Is it the same time period?
Same time. So the other ARPA money that we received, the 40,000 for drainage, that's
Yeah, that's what I'm
Federal?
talking about.
Oh, that's when you're talking about. Okay, yes, then that I can prioritize that project and work on the drainage for it. What I can do is evaluate and assess, and then I'll come back to the commission in June and give you guys a proposal for the drainage.
That would be great.
Yep.
And I hope it would include engineering.
No, it will include everything that we need to do for drainage so that the proposal is set and sound, so we can go ahead and start expending that money and start working on that project.
And you might ask Rick how that works with hiring an engineer, because we do use Cardinal Engineering for a lot of engineering work. But I don't know if we have to go out to bid or not. I really don't understand how that works, so.
Yeah, I'll talk to Rick and see what we need to do. Perfect, thank you, Lynn. Any other questions on commons? All right. Oh, and one more thing with commons. I spoke with Darlene and she mentioned to me that the Lions do have a gardening amount set aside for the garden, so they'll be working on the garden in the park.
They do that?
Yep.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah, so they'll be working on it. She did touch base with me today and asked me a few questions about it, just regarding the size of the garden. Is with it being an operations thing, I told her I'm a little freeformed at the moment, so it could expand if we want it to. We can add a few more things if we need to. If we want to go a fruit tree route and add some apple trees, pear trees. If we want to go more of a flowering route with a continuing bloom, we can do that. But I'm leaving it definitely up to the Lions for interpretation. And I would love to see a plan from them, and I'd love to share it with the commission. So I definitely want to see what they can produce instead of hardlining it and saying this has to be definitive as to what we're doing. But we can definitely look at a plan and we can be creative with the process.
And they would actually be doing the work or just funding it?
They're funding it, and they might have a company come out and do the work,
Okay, all right.
outsourcing it.
That's great.
That is awesome.
Yeah. And then ball field, John Grant and Rufus have painted. Rufus, you also participated in painting the shed, and the shed closest to the first infield has been painted green and yellow, and it's representing the KCS colors. I'm currently exploring the irrigation.
Did he paint them green and yellow, or did he paint them all green?
He painted the shed entirely green, and the trim surrounding it is yellow, and then
And what our plan is, and maybe even see if there's any KCS art student who wants to get involved in this, is to put KCS in yellow lettering on the back so that, and it would be great to see if we can get some kids involved.
yeah,
Yeah, I saw the shed on Saturday and it looks great.
Yeah.
John has done a lot of work, and it looks
Yeah.
really impressive. So I appreciate it.
Yeah,
I'm really
John
enjoying it.
and I went down there a couple weeks ago, and so we're gonna try to clean up the tree line between the land trust field and the ball fields. I'm gonna use my brush hog to do that and just try to get rid of a lot of the vines that are starting to grow up in there. And we talked about the need to test the sprinkler system, which Ed has agreed to work on. And Matt, I know John told me that there is a thing that you can pull behind, like a ATV. I guess when Bruce Adams used to be the baseball coach. And so somewhere in the brush along those fields, there is a thing to pull behind. And I think Ed's just used that because about 5 minutes ago, he sent me some pictures of the work he's been doing on the ball fields, which he did on Sunday, and he sprayed them, and he sprayed Emery Park with like a vinegar
Yep.
solution to, do things. So
Yeah. So that's been sitting there. I know Jared would use that with the tractor to rake all the infields.
Is it like
Yeah.
like a harrow drag? Just like
Yeah,
a
it's a harrow
metal?
drag.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And another thing that we may want to look at for expenses at Kent Center School is a couple of the benches are in really bad shape. The long aluminum team benches. So there's some at the fields, and a couple of them are in bad shape, and maybe you and I could go down there, Matt, sometime this week or whenever. And
There's also one that needs repairing on the basketball court. It's the one like all the way to the right.
near the school.
Near the
Yeah.
school. I think
Yeah,
that one.
yeah,
is the
I think
school.
that shouldn't have been there. That should have been one of the ones for the baseball field. I think that got dragged over by kids at one point,
Yeah.
but it is not in good shape.
Yeah,
You're
we could
right.
definitely look at that.
Thanks, Jordan.
Yeah, no
Thank you,
problem.
Yes, we could definitely meet up this week and go through all the bleachers, benches that are out there and evaluate them. I was taking a look at them the other day when I walked around. I did notice a few were starting to go, and I didn't know if we want to do a mass order and pull it from capital, or if we want to do something out of park maintenance. So that's something we can definitely reassess and go through. So yeah, absolutely.
Right.
You can't spend money out of capital that isn't in the capital plan.
No, I
so-
know. I'm just saying there's some money that will be coming through in capital later on. And if we need to reevaluate a project and package a project and say, this is what we're working on, that's what I was going to look at. So if it's KCS ball fields and we're looking at doing a whole bunch of work on it and we're doing a larger project on it that has more components to it instead of doing individual purchases, why don't we say we have a capital line item for example, the master plan that'll be coming down soon. That's something we can say that's what maybe we want it pre-funded. Maybe we're going to earmark it and say we want to change that capital and utilize it as a larger facility development opposed to just one specific item that we have projected for the future.
It's a good thought. It just takes a lot of time because you have to go through so many steps. The other thing is with Kent Center School equipment, I would think that we would need to consult with Kent Center School.
Well,
I don't know where the line, dividing line is of
Seeing as
what
how
is,
they've given up the maintenance of the fields, any equipment there that's for maintenance really is now town.
is it? For sure?
I would think, I mean,
I would.
they're not, they sort of abdicated responsibility for field maintenance a few years ago.
Okay. Just wanted to check.
I mean, I know Jerry still mows and stuff. That's,
Yeah.
Through but yeah.
That's the
no,
town, that's not the school.
Right. So,
I did dip into park facilities, but any other questions on day-to-day and items 2 and 3 under park facilities?
just, as we go next year, obviously, I think, Matt, you were totally, you have been catching up, but next year we'll have to get a little bit sooner in the calendar year, the field maintenance issues ironed out, just so that we don't get behind in mowing or whatever. So,
Absolutely, yeah.
but that's for your internal calendar.
Yep. Definitely.
Good.
All right. So that's it for the director's report for operations report and items 2 and 3 under park facilities. So Rufus, do we want to go into just Emery Park drainage?
What about, Camp Kent? Where does that come up? I
That's
thought-
the
I
next
thought-
down a little ways.
Okay,
Is it?
That's
Current.
current activities, events, and programs. I'll be
sorry.
Yep.
Yeah, let's do Emery Park drainage.
All right. So Emery Park drainage, I did add a file to our shared folder to show the schematics of what the park looked like. Gary Hawk did a great job going out and doing the drawing for us. The drainage is on the side for the state, and it's coming from the state and then coming into the park. What I'm going to do is I'm going to talk to the Department of Transportation District 4 and start having the conversation and start getting the ball rolling on what we can do on the drainage side to start preventing drainage for the runoff, the non-point source pollution that may be coming from the runoff into our park, so that we can start deterring it and we can start working towards reopening the pool and just the park in general. The drainage right now is impacting a lot of the park. There are wet spots that are completely saturated. You can see that the water is coming from the road down into the park and then it spreads out throughout the field, having that hypersaturation. I'm not an agronomist. I'm not somebody who looks at the field and understands everything when it comes to how it all works with water, but I do have that background in environmental policy. I do have a background in environmental science. And I can tell you right now with hypersaturated soils and having a lot of water going into those soils, it does push out and that water will erode down into somewhere in the park. And right now it's eroding down into the pool. There's some clear delineation of that you can just follow the tracks for. So working with the state, I'm hoping that we can achieve deterring and curbing all that drainage and all that runoff into our park. And then that will help assist when we reopen the pool and work towards that project. I'll discuss that under the Emery Park Subcommittee report. And I know I see Lisa's on the call, so I'm hoping she can jump on too. Miranda, you're on the call too. Hoping you can jump on with that since John's out as the chair. But that's something I would like to do with that drainage. And I'm going to begin that conversation with the state And I'm also going to start talking to Aquarian as well, because there might be some impact from the pipe that runs through the park, and that might be producing some water. There might be a leak, and that might be participating to that drainage factor that we're seeing so much water in the park. So maybe the drainage is one part of it, and then the water leak from the pipe might be the second. So I'm going to do some more deeper exploration and investigating and get to the bottom of it and start working towards a finalized plan so that we can have the drainage curbed and the hypersaturation stop and the park can dry out a little and breathe.
Matt, have you documented this, like taking pictures of it? and
Yeah,
stuff?
absolutely. I have
Okay.
pictures and videos of everything. So
Okay.
yes. Yep,
I'm sure that'll be helpful when you have to go up against the state DOT.
absolutely. Yeah.
And I really, if they are not responsive, I would definitely talk with Rick about his suggestions of how to get them to be responsive. And I would also reach out to the Maria Horn and Stephen Harding and
Yep.
lean on them hard, because this has been going on for a long time. So,
Yep, this factor is definitely a hardship that we're suffering with reopening the park, and just even the park operation itself. If we weren't even reopening it, this would just be a hardship that the park is facing as a whole. So this land area is just really ridden with erosion and is really seeing a hardship from all this water. So yeah, I'm gonna be pressing as hard as I can to solve this problem, because I would love to see it resolved. I know a lot of folks would love to see it resolved. So this is definitely one of the top priorities for me to focus on, is to get this resolved.
Sounds good.
Awesome. And that's it for drainage. Easy peasy.
Okay, so current activities?
Sure. So Lynn, you had a question on Camp Kent, and I just want to address it first before I know I jumped on some of the stuff when I was talking about my day-to-day operations, but I'm happy to talk about Camp Kent a little bit more.
yeah, what do our numbers look like?
Sure. So right now, the first two sessions are first session is 14, second session is 18, third session is 24, fourth session is 28, fifth and sixth. I can pull those numbers exactly, but I was looking at them just a moment ago and I had them written down and I just moved the paper. But they were also in the teens, low 20s, high teens. So we're seeing numbers. These numbers have grown significantly over the past 2 weeks, actually. We're seeing a lot more jump. There has been a lot of interest. I've had folks walk into my office. I've handed out flyers about camp itself. I've done a dedicated blast this past weekend for the camp itself. So there is that number, especially session 4. That is a really high number with 28. And I'm anticipating that number being full, especially seeing that's a very popular week for camp. So we will probably be seeing that 36 number, which will be fantastic.
So 36 is our max.
36 is our max. Yep.
And I think that again, next year, we get the word out way sooner. So that some parents are, may have made other arrangements for some weeks and, but that, we were still trying to figure out who you were gonna be.
Yeah.
I
So,
honestly think you could have easily doubled the enrollment if you had it out at the start of February. Because the truth is, like, every other camp in the area sends it out Feb 1st, and it's like super competitive and they all fill up in the first week or two. So there's just tons of demand. And I know I had recommended Camp Kent to like loads of other friends with little kids who were all excited for it, except everybody signed up for other things because they couldn't keep waiting. So I'm a big pro Camp Kent, but I think we could get it even bigger if we just started it earlier.
Yes, I agree. My goal is January. Unfortunately, I wasn't here until February 12th.
All
so
good. It's not a you thing.
I
It's
would
a
have
lesson
loved to
learned
do
for
it
next
this
time.
day, but I wish, I do wish that I came on sooner. I wish I could have started sooner, and I wish, I could have hit the ground running as soon as I got offered the position. But I definitely, with Camp Kent, want to see that in January. Coming from a background with the Y, as we open up registration for members in January, I would love to open up registration for camp itself in January so that we can start collecting that membership and we can really see that number either fill up or we're going to be hitting hard with some higher numbers. So I definitely agree with that, Claire, 100%.
Like, open it up for Kent residents for the first, month, and then start spreading it beyond that afterwards.
Yeah, we definitely can do that. Absolutely.
That's a great idea, Claire.
We might want to do a week of camp for the parents.
Trust me, I feel like Justin is taking Orlando to do his first overnight camping trip, which will be very cute soon.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So camp numbers, we are still seeing a strong jump on those. Looking at field trip options at the moment and finalizing those. One really exciting one, we're going to be visiting the Howe Cavern potentially. I'm working on that. So that's about 2 hours from here, but it's a full
Oof.
cave tour. They get a boat ride and there's a lot of activities to do there. So it's a cool, very different experience for the kids than going to Quasi or going to your amusement park. We're factoring in some really natural features that we can, something that's a little out of the box or, you know, just out of pocket when it comes to things to do. So having the experience to go to a cave and take a boat ride on the river that runs underneath it and explore everything, it's a great opportunity. So finding these little pocket trips that are just something not many folks would think of doing right off the bat, and not the most popular thing that you see jumping at you, but something exciting
that.
and fun. So thank you.
My kids absolutely loved all the field trips last summer, so.
Awesome. Oh, we're gonna be doing a few of those too. So those are definitely in the works. Quasi is an option at the moment, like compounds as well, splashdown. I'm working with the yard goods to see what we can go to. There is going to be a special offer for game day, for a specific game day, where it's going to be the price of the tickets can be relatively inexpensive. Lunch is an additional $5 fee to it. So it would be a very natural way to purchase something, and something that would be a great experience for the kids too. And it would be an 11 a.m. game. So it would be during the day, it would be during the camp day, and they'd be home at a reasonable time. So all in all, a really good thing to look at for camp. And then we can jump into staffing in a moment once we 9-1A. Oh, we could have, sorry, we were supposed to do the Camp Kent job descriptions there, then sorry about that. I thought that's what we can do now since we're jumping on Camp Kent.
Yeah.
But just to jump quick into it, all the other programs, I'm looking Slamma Jamma, we'll talk about under new activities and programs. And then one other thing that I want to talk about with current programs, because I've discussed it before in the last meeting, that I was exploring opportunities for adult programming. The regional Y of Western Connecticut, I met with them a few weeks ago to tour the community house and the senior center. And we are going to be working towards a partnership to offer group exercise classes in the fall here in Kent with the regional Y of Western Connecticut with their staff to teach these classes. We're exploring options of kickboxing, some senior classes, and some other opportunities on different days of the week. But they would be Group X, and it would be great to see them here in town. And it's great to have that partnership with the Y, since they offer so much and they have that focus in group exercise. And they do service our town. So it's really a unique opportunity, and it's a great partnership. And I think it's going to be a phenomenal thing for us to just jump on board with, since we've had some group exercise groups in the past, but seeing one that's well renowned, seeing that they have something in place, and instead of reinventing the wheel, let's just work with someone who already has the wheel and give them the vehicle so they can put it on and it can drive, and see where we can go. So just a quick little update on that for current programs, but yeah. So just to talk on programs then, so the job descriptions for the staffing. So the bylaw subcommittee met and we discussed the job descriptions. And Lynn, do you want to take over and I'll let you talk about it, or do you want me to jump in and talk a little bit about it, and you jump in when you feel it's right and natural?
I'm happy to talk about the need for this. Is this? I'm like in the folder. Did we share the?
I emailed them out, but let me just pop them into the folder again as well.
Okay.
Yep. I was
So
unable to get the ones
yeah,
with the- just
what
ahead.
happened was that well, the selectmen, especially since several of you are new, the selectmen have sort of implemented a policy that they want every job advertised for at least 2 weeks. And that would be, it can be just advertised on the website. Or if you're trying to cast the net wider, you can obviously, put an ad out in Indeed or in a newspaper like we did when we were trying to find Matt, the director position. And when when we were, we don't have a job description on file for either the ASP director, which I learned when we hired Rebecca. And we don't have one according to in the selectmen's files for the camp director. It was previously done like, here's the list of duties, and it was much looser. And Matt did find one that Jared had created, but I don't know if it ever went. It's not, like I said, it's not in the selectmen's file. So we want to make sure that we hire the 2024 camp director the right way. We want to be transparent about it. So I've been encouraging him to, get this job description up and ready to go so we could approve it, and then we can advertise for the position. And then we hire somebody. Is that clear, Matt, or you want to add
Yep.
anything?
Nope, that's it. I did add the items to our shared folder, so if anyone does want to view it at the moment live, you can. I did email it out later last week after our bylaw subcommittee meeting to discuss it. It is on the selectmen's agenda, I believe. I did ask Joyce to put on the agenda all 3 job descriptions actually. So if we do want to vote on those job descriptions, we can, unless we feel
We
that.
need to. They're going to
Yeah.
ask if we approve them.
So, the
Or-
only major. No, go ahead.
No, I mean, they're going to expect us to have approved it first. So
Right.
if we don't feel comfortable with anything, then we can just say, okay, we're not comfortable with this particular job description. We will come back to you. But the camp director one is timely, and I really hope that we can move that one forward.
So the camp director one, that one's timely, will have to be posted. The current recreation aid, I did with work of the bylaw subcommittee and recommendations of them, and thank you for doing that. The team, you guys were awesome with this. The name for the staff instead of recreation aid would be park and recreation program assistant, just to make it a little more general and a little more involved with the department itself. When you search recreation aid, a lot of jobs that come up are therapeutic aides for rehab homes and nursing homes that are and therapeutic recreation is a huge industry itself, but I don't want our jobs to be winding up in that sector for search at the moment, especially if we do post and we have to look for staff. We might not be looking for those that would be interested, or we might not be hitting those that would be interested, and it might not be arriving at their doorstep or on their Indeed searches or Job Monster searches or any sort of search for them. So I really wanted to hone in and find something that'd be a little more appropriate and all encompassing. And then as you said, Lynn, the ASP director, that's just a current job description, and that can be given to Becca to reflect to her what her job duties are and express them a little more in detail instead of just the job posting that she applied to and was hired for. So.
Do you want to speak to the camp director position in any way? The job description?
Sure.
Yeah, is that,
Can you share it maybe?
Yeah, I can share the file. Just give me one moment. Let me pull it up. So the camp director, it is essentially the current way that it's structured is to show the purpose of the job class, which is the direction, working under the direction of me. They would be reporting to me directly and coordinating a lot with the camp. So they would be the person who's on site doing the coordination, working with me on the day-to-day. They're going to be present at the camp. They're going to be attending the field trips. They're going to be the ones doing the check-in, check-out of the kids every single day with the assistance of the camp staff. So those would be our park and recreation program staff or program assistants, however we choose to vote and choose the language of it, and then camp counselors. They're seasonal, non-exempt, so I really want to put in there some things about that. Seasonal specifically because they're only working 40 hours for a short period of time, and also non-exempt to highlight that they're not in the exempt class where they're gonna be working more than 40 hours and they're only on a salary basis. Unless that is something we feel as a commission we might want to move towards, where we hire somebody for a set number of weeks, seasonal exempt, they're paid a stipend that is a certain amount, and that's what they're going to be getting at the end. That's a conversation we can have tonight, or we can save for a later date. maybe next year or something, but just wanted to give the example as to why I chose non-exempt as our language here for the classification.
So just to clarify, non-exempt means they don't get benefits. They don't qualify for overtime. And they would be working part-time.
Correct. They don't receive they do not receive benefits. Non-exempt is just classifying that they're not salaried. They work up to the 40 hours, and then anything after the 40 hours, they would receive financial compensation in the form of overtime. So, but for us, no, they would not be receiving benefits because they are seasonal. And I think that's the key word that would really hone in on what delineates if they receive those funds or not.
Have you spoken with Joyce and Barbara about this?
Not that specific language, no. Joyce wasn't
About
in
what
the
makes
Friday.
somebody full-time in the town of Kent?
Oh, I spoke to Barbara about this actually. Yes. So
Okay, good.
anybody who's working for a persistent amount of time over 40 hours or 40 hours or more would be qualified as full-time. But I can talk to Barbara and Joyce a little bit more on that exact definition. So I know Barbara mentioned to me before about someone who would work a certain amount of time, they would receive benefits after a certain number, but I can clarify with Joyce and Barbara on that one.
Because traditionally, traditionally, the town of Kent has stipulated that 30 hours is full-time. And I know they talked about this previously, the previous Board of Selectmen talked about it. Because Jared brought it up about the fact that the program staff, some weeks might go over 20.
Right.
So we're not in danger of having to pay overtime, correct?
No, we're
That's
not.
what I want to make sure that
I
we're
can
clear on.
confidently say we are not in danger of having to pay overtime. No.
Okay. And we're not in danger of somebody being classified as full-time, even if they're working, 4, 5, 6 weeks of the summer as 40 hours.
Correct. It's seasonal. It's not permanent. So
Okay.
it's a temporary position, but I'll follow up with Joyce and Barbara on that exact, but this right now being a seasonal position, they're not classified as full-time. It's just a seasonal non-exempt position. And
Okay.
they're only working a delineated amount of schedule time so that it's not consistent. They're not going to be needed to be offered the benefits and everything. So yes. Their main examples of duty they're jumping in on is overseeing and scheduling and developing activities for our camps. Slamma Jamma, they're going to be working with our contractor who does the camp. Slamma Jamma is contracted out, and there's an individual who hosts the camp and then comes here to run the camp. We do the collection of fees and participants.
That's new. That was not handled by the camp director previously.
It was.
Really?
Yes. Slamma Jamma was, Jared had somebody come in who hosted the program and someone would be present for it. That was the camp director.
And
From
it doesn't happen at the same time as Camp Kent?
It can happen at the same time as Camp Kent, and it would have a director present or someone or who would have multiple staff present, but Slamma Jamma was handled by someone else. So right now I scheduled Slamma Jamma to be after Camp Kent.
Okay.
And I worked with our provider for that, just so that this person can be present. It's also great to have somebody who is going to be representing the department present that has a strong knowledge, especially working with kids and campers, while the instructor and the person who owns the program is going to be running the program. Having someone who's able to work with the kids, assist in any sort of behavioral discussions and behavior changes, and redirecting the kids along with the staff, and being able to work with the staff and make corrections if they're not doing their jobs. Having someone present with some sort of supervisory capacity would be essential for this person or for this program. So this is just a general overview. Any questions so far?
Have you calculated how many hours this person would be working?
I
'Cause
would
I think
that-
when we did the budget, we didn't include other camps.
No, then I can remove Slamma Jamma. That's fine. We don't have to have them present for Slamma Jamma, or we have another rec aid present for Slamma Jamma that we know is
Well,
responsible.
it's all under the part-time employees line.
Right.
So it's really doesn't matter, just as long as we.
No, I wouldn't want to, I
accommodate.
don't think you'd want to tie it down here, Lynn, because.
No, no, I'm not saying tie it down. I'm just trying to
Yeah.
make sure that we have enough money in that line, that the part-time employees line to cover
Right,
the expense. That's all I'm saying.
Sure, yeah. I mean, we can remove it.
No, I'm not
Mm,
suggesting
okay.
remove it. I just want to make sure that we can cover it. That's all.
right. But if, for example, if we have somebody who's done it previously, they might not need as much time to organize and whatnot. I know Jared had them come in the week before and, they got paid for the setting up of an organization time. And that may change depending on whether we're going with somebody who's done it before or not. But you're right, we need to make sure we can cover
Yeah.
it.
Any questions on this specific job description?
I think it's good. The rest of the things are needed, providing first aid, the behavioral issue stuff, trainings. And the knowledge and skill and ability is sort of just the general
Yep, so let me scroll to that quick.
thing.
It's just your general thing, minimum qualifications. We're looking at minimum age of 21 for camp director. State does require for that, so it's good to have someone who's of age to be present as a camp director. It's required by OEC, but we're not an OEC licensed camp. We don't need to be because we're a municipality. However, I like to just run in conjunction with those as the recommendations essentially for us, so that we can comply with something and have some reference document and say we're acting on this because another entity that is state level recommends X, Y, and Z for their entities and they enforce it. So we should just comply with that to really assist ourselves to show that we have the backbone to stand on. So yeah, that's this job description, and then the other two, if you want me to walk through those, I can, unless we want to do a motion on this one.
I think we should do a motion on
Fine.
this one.
And
Yeah.
then,
So, a
I
quick
agree.
question, we're not requiring a high school diploma?
should we do high school diploma, associate's degree, or higher related field preferred?
I'm just bringing it up.
I think it should be
Yeah.
a minimum of a high school diploma.
Yeah, I can add that in there. Yep, so with as long as we say with the amendment of, and I can then make that
Mhm.
amendment tonight. Yep.
Good thought, Kate. Anybody else have anything?
No, I think it's pretty good.
Okay, I'll make a
So-
motion. What?
Go ahead, Lynn.
Do you have a change?
What?
I was just gonna make a motion to approve, so do you
Yeah,
have a change?
no, I was gonna just ask if anyone had a motion.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve the summer day camp director and recommend it to the Board of Selectmen for approval, with the amendment to insert high school diploma under minimum qualifications.
Is there a second to that? Claire? Thank you, Claire. Any further discussion?
I would just also, depending on the approval of the next job description for our park and rec department assistants, if we change park and rec program staff to assistants, if we do that route and whatever the language is that we choose for our next person for our next job description.
So insert the program. I'm sorry, give me the
Park
line
and
again.
recreation program assistants.
Okay, Park and Recreation Program Assistance.
Yep.
in addition to day camp staff or to replace that?
Just replace the word staff to assistants or whatever we choose as the title for the Park and Recreation Program Assistant job description I put together to replace recreation aides.
Okay.
Yep.
Um,
Is that good
Yes.
with you, Claire, as a second? Okay,
I'm fine with it.
so the amended.
Thank you. Sorry. Just wanted to catch that one. All right. So
Going once, going twice, no more discussion? All those in favor of the new Town of Kent job description?
Aye.
Aye,
Aye.
opposed? Abstaining? Thank you.
All right.
thank you all. I'm gonna share the Rec Aid one next, just so that, or the recreation assistant job description next. So, just to give some background on this, I felt it was appropriate to, change the title of this position. Again, as I stated with recreation aides, it was finding that with the search, if we were to hire somebody or trying to find the classification work, even though it was delineated by what we have, it would just, the search wasn't really successful for what we were looking for if we were to ever look for people. So with this, it highlights who the supervisors are. So it's the ASP director, day camp director, and park and recreation director. Reason why is that somebody in this role could be working in ASP, could be working at camp, or could be reporting directly to me and assisting me in specific duties. So they could be assisting in the parks and running a specific program. They could be running, for example, like a mommy and me arts and crafts class, and it's not a hired contractor doing it, it's a staff member doing it. They would report to me for that. So that's why the supervisors are written out as the two other job descriptions that are proposed tonight myself. They have no direct reports. It is a part-time, non-exempt position, not exceeding 20 hours from fall to spring and not exceeding 40 hours in the summer. They will have a shared schedule prior to the start of a season, prior to the start of activities, and they'll be sharing their schedule with me. So I'm understanding as to what they would have available to do for work. The job duties are the same, are pretty much reflective of the same as before. I conglomerated a lot of them because they were all individually listed out, especially bullet point number 2 was listed out thrice, and it was identifying programs, activities, leagues, events, and it was just really, it could have just been conglomerated into one just for ease of language and just really highlighting exactly what's going on. Serve as a point of contact at activities, programs, and leagues. Let's say that a rec aide is at baseball and they're able to assist with baseball, or they're the door opener for basketball and they're assisting with that instead of a volunteer, and they need to call me because they locked themselves out of the building and no one's answering the door, or all the basketballs are deflated and they need help with that, or hey, just here's something that went on tonight, just to confirm with you this is what happened, or the coaches never showed up. So they're a point contact and able to be on site for programs and assist in running programs as well.
This is, this job description really exists. This is an update and a renaming, but it actually exists, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just a
Renaming.
little
'Cause I-
streamlined.
I'm pretty sure it was, I can't remember. I think it was November of 2022, which I would say that the date, the approval date needs to be on there.
Yes, I was looking for that with Joyce today.
Okay.
Yep.
But this is just reworking an existing thing, just making it more streamlined, right?
Yep, this is more
It's
streamlined.
not really that, and changing the name.
Correct. It's just changing the
Yeah.
name, more streamlined, taking those examples of duties instead of it being extended. It's condensing them and being more clear, concise, and proactive with what they're doing. So
Anybody have any concerns about it?
The only thing with the opening, your very opening paragraph, Matt, purpose works under the direction of, I think you should have your park and rec director in there as well.
I agree.
yep, we can
Because that is mirrored with the supervisors.
yeah,
So I would just add that. Put you first under the direction of the
Yep.
Yeah,
Okay.
you also need to take out that word recreation staff and insert the name.
Yep. Can make that edit. Perfect. All right, so I can make those changes. So if we do a motion for it and approve with the amendments, I'm happy to make those changes and send it over to Joyce for it to be on the docket for approval. With the amendment also including the prior approval dates as well.
Right.
Anybody else want to make the motion other than me?
I motion to approve the job description.
For the Park
Or
and
the
Recreation
Park and
Program
Recreation
Assistant.
Program Assistant.
Exactly.
Sounds good. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Ben.
You also will notice that they don't have the rates of pay. That is something that Joyce has felt very strongly about, and I agree with her that it's better to put that into the information that is shared when it's advertised versus into the job description because it can change so quickly.
Right, that makes much more sense.
But the intent would be that this would be 15. The current minimum wage is $15.69. There is a range of like that until about $17 to, I think, to reflect some repeat, some people that came back. I don't know.
Increase of salary for
Yeah,
longevity, or if we do
Yeah.
something merit-based, which we can discuss, so.
so does that mean everybody that we're hiring for this summer is probably gonna be $15.69 per
pretty
hour?
much.
Unless it's somebody with a life-saving, you know.
Has
skill.
life-saving experience. Yep, life-saving skill or has years of experiences working in camps. Something along those lines when it comes to it, when we hire somebody, we have to look at the experience. We can make a decision and have some discretion based on experience with pay. So I don't
Okay.
think I don't want to say yes 100%. We're going to hire everybody at 15.69. Somebody who has no
Okay.
experience, yes, but from there, I think it's better for us to safely say we hire based on pay is based on experience.
Right,
So we just need a vote or discussion.
so any further discussion there? Should we have a vote? All those in favor of this job description?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Abstaining? Thank you, thank you.
All right. Do we want to do ASP?
I don't think we have, let's skip that one for now, because that won't come around for a while, and just, you know,
I'm-
it's, we're
I'm
an
only
hour and a half in.
I know I'm only concerned because we do have a current ASP director without a job description.
But we hired her that way,
I
and we told her we would get to it.
Right,
She's only got a couple more weeks to go, Matt. I think we're okay.
know, but I just think it would just be better from an operations standpoint and much more clear from an HR standpoint to have that job description lined out and approved.
I
Like,
agree,
we can
but
quickly breeze through it. It's nothing that needs major
it-
changes, but I'm just echoing from a very strong HR standpoint, it might be impactful for us just to review it and make a decision tonight on it. That's why it's there. And especially if we have someone who's currently in that role that doesn't have a job description, I think it's better that we go that route and safer if we go that route. So that we can explore what their job is and be able to give it to somebody who's working in that role.
are you guys good for another 5 quick minutes here, and then okay, so let's go ahead.
All right, thank you. I'm only doing this, I just feel it would be appropriate, so.
I just don't want
quickly-
people to start falling asleep on us.
I know,
Yeah.
I know,
We've been going an hour and a half already, so
I know.
that's what I'm cognizant of.
So again, it's just outlining the job duties of what our current ASP director does. They work under the direction of me. They report directly to me. Their, again, amendment would be changing park and recreation program assistants instead of staff. Their part-time non-exempt position, not exceeding 20 hours from fall to spring, schedule follows the center school calendar and is shared prior to the start of the calendar. So they would know what their working dates are prior to the start of the school year. The example of duties is what was listed in the job posting for this position. So if you want to browse through those, if there's any questions.
Got a typo in the second bullet under examples of duties. Schedules and events for the after-school program.
Got it.
There was something different about the way, the person gets paid on this. And I remember checking with Joyce and, actually checking with Barbara for sure. That like when school is canceled, this person does not get paid.
I'll follow up on that.
I confirmed that with Barbara. So, there were times when, Becca actually did some work, like she did some prep work, and she would let us know that she was, even though, you know, school was canceled, she was going to be working on this, this, and this.
Yep.
But that is something that's kind of different about this position.
Right. And then one thing
So
that was-
that could be like with salary, part of the actual disclosure.
I just think it probably should be spelled out. I don't know. I just feel like it's handled differently than other people, other part-time staff. So,
so under their under their schedule, schedule follows the Kent Center School calendar and is shared prior to the start of the calendar. If in the event school is canceled, the opportunity to continue to work that day is available upon communication with supervisor. I can put that language in and
okay.
share it that way.
And if there's a half day that's already in the schedule,
Right.
there's no after-school program,
Right.
correct?
Yep.
That's but that's a calendar, you know, that's covered with the wording, you know, follows the Kent Center School calendar.
Is
If
a half day though, no kids at the school?
They
Kids leave.
they cancel all after-school programs when there's a half day. Am
Even
I-
though the kids have been in the morning?
Yeah.
That seems to be counterproductive to
I know.
parents that need.
I know, I mean, but my understanding in the past was that the school did not want children in the after-school program.
that we
Maybe,
should-
maybe it's different now. But I know that's,
I
we've
can
been
explain.
following that, you know, when,
Hey, but guys, think if it's a half day of school, that means there's gonna be a group of kids in the after-school program until the parents can pick them up, which would be, sorry about my dogs, till like 5 p.m., which is
Right.
the regular pickup time, correct?
5:30.
So that's a 5 hour. That's a 5 hour. I mean, I would think that it makes, yes, I can see the need for it, but a planning for a 5 hour program for kids, I think is a different thing than a regular after school.
Right,
You know, I think it's different. I don't think we can.
it's doubling it, because now it's like 2 hour and a half,
And
2
it's just a
hours.
whole
think-
different animal. I mean, when
Yeah.
it comes to, you know, supervising children, I mean, that's just a whole different thing. That's a whole school day, basically.
Yeah,
Yeah,
this goes from
yeah.
babysitting all the way to more childcare. That's to what it views to me. This is more of an enhanced form of childcare if we do something after school on a half day. So I feel right now that's not something we should be moving towards at the moment.
It might be interesting though, just to understand, and I don't know this despite the fact that our son does the program, but like, I don't know what the backgrounds are of the other kids that are doing the program and what those parents might say, but it might be a helpful thing for us just to better understand of what are their views, because I think it's a great point, Rufus. Maybe they really need that care then, and it could be a good benefit if Michelle were open to having it.
And then to echo that, I think it's just jumping on that same train. It's jumping on the decision that our town attorney reached when it came to childcare for what you call it, for the town vote, and just make sure that we have enough staff available for it and we have everything go, running for it. We have all the checks and balances in place for it. And we have the facility for it. And let's say for after school, if we now envision seeing 24 kids and we don't have that staff available, now we're limiting our resource of what we normally offer, and we have to express that sooner rather than later. So, especially since that was a longer time period than just 2.5 hours after school. But we can explore that. I like it. I like that we are thinking about this. So let's see if Michelle's open to it and what we can do from a childcare perspective, and really not focus in on us being a full childcare location and department, but offering things to the community at certain capacities. So the best thing I can do is just explore and see what we can do.
I mean, it might just be like an interesting thing to have a focus group or an email to the parents of the kids who are in the program to understand like how do they feel about having half days being half days where there is no ASP, and are they fine with that, or is there actually a real need?
And the other thing is a lot of times the junior library does programming on half
Yeah.
days. So it might be a case of, after school could actually collaborate with the library.
Yeah.
To do some, actually walk the kids over to the library or something.
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
So let's leave this with the normal thing, but let's have these conversations and see if, and as Claire said, have a, maybe a focus group and a survey of the parents who, is this what they would take advantage of, so. But for tonight, let's leave it as it is.
Yep.
This has the same question that Kate raised about, do we want them to have high school diploma?
Yes, we can add that in. Perfect.
I think, oh yeah, do they need any training from DCF? Or is there any kind of training, because they are definitely working with children in a
I'm
school
investigating
setting?
that at the moment. Because
Also,
we-
like, I can't see the whole description, but does it say that they have to be CPR and first aid certified? Because you do say that they have
Have to
to
perform it. Thank
give
you.
medical attention if it needed.
So we can add that part in as well. Thank you, Jordan.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they need both. CPR and first aid.
Yeah, I can look into that.
Yeah,
Or
and
I can add that in
honestly,
and then training for the kids.
Sorry, I had to step away. Are you going to add the high school diploma?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, cool.
Sorry, go ahead, Jordan.
I mean, like CPR, or, I mean, did they have to have it before we hire them, or that they
Mm.
will have to take
yeah,
it?
it should,
We can say that it's required, and then say
Right,
we provide, upon hiring if needed. And we put that in the job posting as well, that will supply it as needed.
right.
Yep.
Any other, Any other things that we need to look at here? So I would make a motion that we
What-
approve the after-school director's job description with the amendments as outlined in our discussion. So that
thanks, I'm sorry I don't mean to interrupt Rufus, but is there anything in here that says communicate with parents on a regular basis? I'm not
Yeah.
seeing it, but I'm reading it very quickly. Oh, there it is. Communicate
Report.
regularly. Okay,
yeah,
sorry about that. Did you make a motion, Rufus?
yeah, just
Okay,
Yeah.
I will second that motion.
so any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstaining? So carried. Okay, good. So we'll send all three of those together. Matt, you might just send me a copy before you send it out, last minute
Yeah. I'll send it over.
grammar check, et cetera.
Yeah.
We'll go from there.
Sounds good. I could definitely do that.
And Matt, do you have the ability to attend this meeting on Wednesday night with the selectmen or no?
It's at what time? It's at 6, right?
6:30.
It's
It's
at
when
6:30.
it's when
So
pickleball is.
I'm working on getting someone to be at pickleball so that I can just get it up and running so that someone can be there. So I
Okay.
can be at the selectmen meeting. So that's why
Okay, cool.
I'm actively working on that to get.
Okay, cool.
Yep.
Thank you all
I
for,
cannot make it.
okay, I mean, I'm sure I
And
can
if I-
speak to it. I just,
If I can't physically be there, I'll virtually be there from Kent Commons.
Okay.
Yep. So no matter what, I'll be there. either
okay,
in
good.
person or-
Just in case some questions come up, that would be helpful.
Absolutely.
Okay, good. 9C2 Memorial Day Parade.
Yep. So very quickly, I'm gonna do a brief overview. Memorial Day Parade is next week on Monday. If the forecast is to change to full rain, we'll be moving inside the Kent Center School gym. Parade kickoff is at 9:30. Lineup starts at 9 o'clock with all of the entities involved, the Boy Scouts band, the American Legion, and a few other associations as well. Afterwards, I'll be running bingo at the Kent Land Trust, and I am currently working with Becca and Lizzie on helping me with that and asking for a few others to help just run bingo potentially. So that's what we're looking at for Memorial Day Parade. Everything's on schedule as of now. I've sent emails out to the team that has participated last year, a stakeholders group. I met with them a few weeks ago and I sent a follow-up email just to give them a final delineation of everything with the parade route too. So we're running strong with the parade. It's been promoted and a lot of folks are talking about it, so they're excited.
Has the parade route changed at all? Because I didn't
No.
see any mention of like going into St. Andrew's Cemetery. And I was just wondering if there's any change.
Parade route has not changed. It's
Okay.
same as last year. Yep. So that one, there's no, I didn't feel it was appropriate for me to step in and change a parade route and change something that has been done historically as a new director. So I didn't want to make major changes. Townwide tag sale, as of this morning, we had 21 homes and families registered for the event, with some that have multiple families registered for their property. So that's great. So a lot of interest and a lot of promotion with it. Definitely on par for June 15th at 9 a.m. through 3 p.m. through town. I'm working on more promotion with it just to get more things involved and more people involved and more excitement with it. And then concert series, just to wrap up quick, I am working on moving some of those dates with the bands to Saturdays, and I will finalize those exact dates with the team on the next meeting. I'm also working on getting a band in for the concert that we want to have for the kids I also, Lynn, you sent me an email and Rufus an email about Make Music Day, which is June 21st, and that's a Friday. So I'm also trying to see if I can move it to that day and get someone present for that. So I've done some reach out to local bands and some local artists to jump in for either date to assist and be at Kent Commons Park for it. And that's where we're at.
So is that what you're thinking will be our June concert? Make
Yep.
Music Day? Oh, that's
Make
really
Music
cool.
Day in a combo with, just celebrating kids that are done, celebrating school being done, those graduating from 8th grade, moving on, high school moving on. So, yep.
It's awesome.
All right. That's it for me for that.
Very good. New activities, events, programs,
These are going
your
to be,
hiking program.
yep. So these will be quick run throughs. The Land Trust and New Milford Senior Center reached out to me about the senior hiking program in July. They're looking to do a hike on July 19th and work in conglomeration with Kent Park and Rec to do the senior hike. It would be at the Tobin Preserve up at the northern end of Kent. And they would love for us to work together. The one thing that was recommended was for folks from it would be with New Milford seniors and Kent seniors. And the interest is for having the New Milford seniors come back for a luncheon with the Kent seniors at the Kent Senior Center. I don't know if we can have it at the senior center. I can definitely explore the option of having it at the community house because of the stipulation with the senior center being an event and non-Kent residents. But the community house is an option. And I can talk to Sam and see what our lease says, but that is a lease entered item, not a department listed item, Karen.
New Milford Senior Center too does have a lot of hikers when they do these hiking things at different places.
Awesome. So that'll be a
Yeah.
good networking opportunity for these guys to
Yeah.
others. Yeah. So the potential of a luncheon is there. It's just, if we can just approve an amount for a potential lunch up to, I would say $800 max for a lunch for the seniors. It's just working in conglomeration with New Milford. If we don't want to approve a lunch part, we don't have to approve a lunch part, but just approving that we would work in conglomeration and promote this event as cross-promoted with New Milford Senior Center and Kent Land Trust.
How early would it be?
Um,
Because
the-
July can be hot.
July 19th. It was originally conversed that we would do it July 5th, but just because it's right after the 4th of July, the date has been moved back to July 19th as a possible date. We're looking at 10 a.m. for the hike. Regardless if we work with the Kent Land Trust and New Milford Senior Center, it is going on with New Milford Senior Center and Kent Land Trust. It was just nice that they extended the olive branch to be with us since it's in the town of Kent and Park and Rec with the town of Kent, not just New Milford. So
I've done that hike many times, so it's not a challenging hike in terms of elevation for seniors, so it's a good one to do. I'll make a motion to allocate up to $800 for a luncheon July, for seniors with New Milford Senior Center and Kent Senior Center.
Is the idea that the lunch cost would be split with the New Milford Senior Center? It just seems like a little funny to me for Kent to be subsidizing New Milford
Mm,
seniors when population wise, I suspect there are 5 times as many New Milford seniors as Kent seniors. So I just would question why we'd be subsidizing New Milford seniors for lunch, to be totally honest.
that's a good point.
yeah.
Would you be,
it
would
just
you be
ask
able-
us to host it.
yeah,
So,
would you be able to talk to New Milford and see if we can split? I'm sure.
yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe a recommendation for the approval of this would be, approve the program at a maximum of $800 for lunch with contingency that there's a cost split between New Milford Senior Center and Kent Park and Recreation.
Well, can we just say we'll spend up to $400 then?
Sure. Yeah.
I mean, that seems simpler, but maybe I don't understand all the logistics.
I just put $800 as a cap just as a whole, just to split cost.
That might be the cost of a lunch for the whole group, so you then have the conversation with New Milford to see if they'd be willing to to be involved with this and you know, contribute to the cost of the lunch.
Yeah.
I think it's a good idea to try to get a connection. You know, the New Milford has this cornhole. I mean, it's one of the more popular activities, and these guys practice every week, and then they play New Fairfield. So they go to New Fairfield, or New Fairfield comes to New Milford, and it's a great way to get people to socialize with a different group of people.
And
which
New
is-
Milford, will take Kent people. I mean, you know, it's not just limited to that you have to live in New Milford. There are people from Brookfield, there are people from Kent that all joined the New Milford Senior Center.
Yeah, they're kind of serving almost as a regional hub.
They are,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. All right, so what do we want to do? Do we want to say 800 or 400, folks?
Yeah,
What
that's
do you
fine.
think? Any thoughts?
400 works for me, if that works for the team.
So I'll
I
change
don't-
my
I don't-
motion to 400. With the hopes that New Milford would collaborate and contribute.
And
Right.
if they don't, we just don't have the lunch.
Yeah.
That's,
Pete, did you have something?
No, yeah, I guess I was just gonna say. No, forget it.
Okay, so is there a second to Lynn's motion? No, Claire? Okay. So, that's for July 19th, senior hiking program lunch.
Which is a Friday. Just looked it
Yep.
up.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? No, good. All right. Good.
All right, and then the last one, just quickly. The regional park and recreation directors are going to be hosting a luncheon for Canaan, Kent, Salisbury, Cornwall, Falls Village, and Sharon. And we're inviting seniors to a luncheon at the Grove, the Lakeville Grove in Lakeville. The total cost for the program is going to be split amongst the directors, but it right now is $641.42. And it is on Wednesday, June 5th at 12 p.m. So this would be promoted throughout. I'm happy to share with everyone just the flyer that was generated by Jen over in Cornwall. But this was something that was talked about in a meeting that I had and finally came about. So I'm excited for it. And I would love for us to be, you know, participating in this and sponsoring a regional lunch. So yeah. Right now, the
So-
cost is $641.42, and it would be split. However, I think maybe it might be best if we increase our number of share just in case they increase the number of people participating. Right now, that's for 75 people. So I think maybe putting a cap on a recommendation to approve sponsorship for this luncheon to a number of like $120, because right now it's about $106 for us to participate with.
So it's $106 per person? That's their
No,
est-
$106 per town.
per town. Okay.
How would we get the seniors up there?
That's a good question.
What day is
Uh,
that?
That
Is
is a
it-
Wednesday.
Ooh, that's a day we have Northwest Connecticut Transit. That's our day. Could we get them to go north instead of south?
That is something I'm open to have a conversation about and see who I can reach out to and talk to.
Does Kent Center School have an activity bus?
They do,
mhm.
but there's been no agreement yet on. there's not even been much discussion, as far as I know, for us to be able to use it
Hmm.
by the town.
I can pursue that.
Pursue that and see, I might, I'm qualified to drive one of those babies.
So am I.
So
Awesome.
one of us could, possibly, if that's a possibility.
What time is this luncheon? Is it noon?
Yep, 12 p.m.
And is it all six Region 1 towns?
Yep.
Okay.
Oh,
So your recommendation is we say we will contribute $120,
Up
up to
to-
$120.
Yep, just in case they go up in numbers. Because right now it's about 106, 107, 106.90 for all 6 towns. But just in case they go up on numbers from 75, and we feel that it would be better for us to go up from 75 to maybe 100, just have a little extra cash available as a cushion, just in case.
Okay.
I like a just in case.
Now, they've done this for many years.
Mhm.
I vaguely remember hearing about this. So do they typically get 75 people?
From what I understand, they do get numbers.
And do they typically get many people from Kent? or not so
I
much?
don't know. I can inquire, but I don't think they have in the past few years.
I know 5 people from Kent that have already signed up.
Oh, that's a good sign.
So yeah. And I can.
Okay,
prove
so
it.
do we need a motion?
Yep.
yes, let's have
Okay.
a motion.
So I will make a motion to participate in the regional senior lunch program June 5th at the Grove in Lakeville and beginning at noon. And we would contribute up to $120 with the other 5 Region 1 towns.
Good, is there a second?
Second,
That was a tie, I don't know.
doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you.
Thank you
Opposed?
for making that happen.
You're welcome. Happy to be working with the towns again. Happy working with the region. So
Cool, okay. Slimer Jamma?
yep. Let's table that for a special meeting because I'm still working on the numbers for that. This would have been just a definitive thing, just to
Okay.
approve the concept of the camp. I'm working with Marvelwood right now to get some space potentially, and working with Slimer Jam on numbers and everything. So let's table that for a special meeting when we talk about the backboards for the tennis courts.
All right,
And are you aiming for like August then, after Camp Kent?
August.
Okay.
Yep. End of August are the dates we're looking at right now. Right after the week after Camp Kent is the week we're looking at, because that would be a good week to do it.
Okay.
so subcommittee reports, let's see if we can deal with in 2 minutes. Let's keep this at 2 hours or less. Cause we can always come back. Stick them on later.
Yeah, so the bylaws committee, has met, 2 times, I think. And we've reworked the draft that the previous committee worked on. And the idea is that we are combining the Constitution and the bylaws together, so we'll have one document. And, we have a few tweaks to make still, but, we're trying to streamline and simplify some things like the wording on the alternates. We will have to send this to town attorney once we get a final draft together and you guys all say, yep, this is great. And then we'll send it off to the town attorney. Town attorney will then take a look and probably rip it all up. And we spent the last meeting, we spent quite a bit of time talking about expenditures, and Matt was great about going and talking to Barbara and finding out what the current bidding policy is. And so we are very close to being able to give you guys what is hopefully a final draft. I think. Anything else? Anybody else wants to add to that, Rufus or Matt?
No, I think that's good. I think,
Okay.
there's been a lot of discussion and it's been a good discussion and see what we come up with.
Okay, cool.
And,
Yes.
and the other thing is we'll try to get, when we're done with it, we'll try to get it to all you guys well in advance, not just a day or two before,
Right.
so that you can really look through it and think about it.
And probably we'll have a clean copy and then we'll have a copy that's marked up so you can actually compare what's new wording, what's crossed out wording, that kind of thing. And then the existing documents. You can take your time to go through it.
Good. Thank you. So the Emery Park Subcommittee, I guess,
Speak on that.
we tried to meet this week and just couldn't find a time. I know John is really excited. He's fixing up this space. He wants the subcommittee to meet at Emery Park. But we still have a ways to go before we're gonna come back with any report.
I think just the report on our big four goals right now are the pool, drainage, trails, and the parking space down below, moving parking access to a lower lot for ADA compliant, for ADA accessible, just accessibility, going with ADA, being more accessible for people to be in the park. So those are our top four goals, and I'm currently exploring things with the pool and drainage.
Right.
When you say moving the parking, does that mean just having an additional ADA accessible parking?
So there is a lot down below.
I know.
When you go down the hill, completely moving it completely just down there. That is our solo parking spot, or parking area.
Mhm.
Yep.
What would happen up top then?
Renaturalize as an option or something else, but makes it better for accessibility to get to the pond, the trails. All right. I would say that's it for me on Emery Park. Or if you have anything else.
No, I mean, there's still some issues as to boundaries and things and gotta work that out.
I'll report on that when more information is uncovered.
But we do, I think some of our goals are to make Emery Park a place where people from out of town would say this is a good destination for a great hike, and then we'll go eat lunch in someplace in town, and we want to try to make the whole park used by as many people as possible. So anyhow, but we're not ready to come to back to you guys yet. Anything else? No, public comment. Then I'd make a motion to adjourn at 9:05 p.m. Thank you very much for 2 hours.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you,
Thanks for
everyone.
all your work, Matt.
You're welcome.
Yes,
you,
thank you,
everyone.
Matt.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.
Bye.